If you're thinking about fasting, you have come to the right place because I'm going to save you from the evils of the cultish fasting lifestyle. Totally kidding. I'm not against fasting. It's something that works. Like, actually, I did fasting for pretty consistently for about a year and a half. This was a few years back. And, I watched all the Thomas DeLauer videos on fasting. I know all about it. I know how it works. But just so that we're clear here, when I'm talking about fasting, I'm talking about the typical 16-hour fast, 8-hour window, or more than that. 20-hour fast, 18-hour fast, all that, all the way up to the one meal a day type of deal. Fasting where you're cutting out the majority of the day, you have a small window to eat, and then you quit eating, and then you go on with that. And I've done all those. I typically always did at least a 16-hour fast pretty much every single day, up to 20 hours, and there were times I did like 24-hour fast, 48. I did 60 once just because I want to see, what does it feel like to go days without eating? And there are just some things that inherently come with fasting that you got to be careful with and can lead you down a slippery slope of some issues. But before we get to that, what are the pros of fasting? Like, essentially, it's just a way of losing weight. It's an easy way to restrict calories because at the end of the day, calories in versus calories out. If you have fewer calories taken in than you put out, then you're going to lose weight. So a lot of people turn to fasting because it's a lot easier to just cut off the food, not eat. You eat a small window throughout the day because the more times you start eating, the more times you have to stop. When you're in a calorie restricted state, when you're in a deficit, it's harder to stop because you're hungry. So if you only start eating at one point, well, then it's a lot easier to restrict those calories. And when you first start, you realize, it's pretty easy. I wake up, I might feel kind of hungry in the morning, drink some water, it goes away. And then as you keep yourself busy throughout the day, it's easy to just kind of ignore the whole eating part. You get used to it, and it helps teach discipline because you realize, just because I feel a little hungry doesn't mean I have to eat. And a lot of times I might just be thirsty. People say it helps with mental clarity, like they eat carbs or eat certain things, and when they don't, when they're fasting, I have better mental clarity, I'm sharper, all that. I don't know. I mean, if you eat junk food, then sure, I could see that. But if you're eating healthy food throughout the day, like if I eat a big meal of, we'll say chicken, broccoli, and rice, just plain, something like that, something with some vegetables, fruits, things that are more natural, well, I don't really have any brain fog or issues like that. But there's also the benefits of autophagy, and that's, cells reproducing, all that good stuff, getting rid of old ones. That's kind of mostly applicable to people who are fasting to lose weight and they don't exercise either, because believe it or not, you can lose weight without exercise. If you just eat nothing, well, you're going to lose weight because your body's going to start burning off fat if it's not getting enough food. Just like if you were exercising can just make that process happen quicker. But if you're exercising, if you're lifting weights, doing that type of stuff, you're going to be naturally going through autophagy from that type of stuff too. So if you're in the gym and you're actually actively working out, then it's more than so negligible on that. Feel free to tell me I'm full of it down below. Those are some of the benefits of fasting. It's just an easy way to get into restricting calories, and you get used to it and you get into the flow of it. But where the problems come in, binging. You go all day long, you start getting hungry and you're like, oh, I can't wait to eat. You start eating and you might have trouble stopping. Now, if you're just maintaining your weight, say you're at a goal weight or however you want to be, and you're maintaining that, it might not be as bad because you're not in a deficit and keeping yourself from eating. But if you're eating less than you need, so even though you finish eating in your window, you still feel hungry, it's a lot easier to continue to binge at that point. This is even more so when you get below your body's natural set point range of whatever that is for you. Some people are leaner, some people might be a little more on the heavier side. If you're below where you want to be, then your body's going to naturally send more signals to eat. So when you get to that time to eating, you get some pizza and then you end up eating the whole box or maybe 2 boxes because you just couldn't stop yourself because you're so hungry. Even though you're eating all that food, you just don't feel full. I've gone through this before. It is not fun when you feel like you just can't control it. You get hungry again and then you binge a bunch of food and then the cycle happens and keeps going. It can be a bad thing to get into, so you got to watch yourself there. The other issue is that it tends to lead to poor food choices from what I've seen. So I'm usually going to pick healthier foods overall because you can eat more of the healthier things because they tend to have fewer calories. And so you're already eating cleaner as you're eating throughout the day. But what I found myself doing personally when I was fasting all the time was I'd be like, oh man, I got 2,500 calories I can eat in these last 4 hours of the day. Man, I could eat a whole pizza. I could eat half a pint of Ben and Jerry's. Well, that's not really healthy eating. Yes, you can lose weight still doing that or maintain your weight, but is it really good for your body for the only thing you ate for the day is pizza and ice cream? I've done it many times. You get in the cycle of that. It's not just binging on healthy food. Cook a whole carton of egg whites and see if you keep eating that. You probably won't, but you get a pizza, it's so palatable. Ice cream, you want to just keep eating. You're already really hungry, and that stuff is really calorie dense. And so you end up eating a ton, and you can actually end up gaining weight fasting because you eat more calories than you need overall through the day. So if you are going to fast, try to plan out what foods you're going to eat still that are more healthy and are going to meet not just your calorie needs or protein, macros, that type of stuff, but also vitamins, minerals, nutrients. That stuff is really important. And then also flexibility problems, just socially, someone wants to go meet you for breakfast and, oh, I can't, sorry, I'm fasting. I'm sure you can go hang out with people and eat breakfast, but it's kind of weird when you're just sitting there and you don't eat anything, and it almost gives like a holier than thou type of attitude. I hope I'm not going too far there, but almost like, oh, I'm restricting myself. I'm not going to eat that. Whereas other people are eating like normal. There's almost always some kind of healthy food choice you can eat somewhere. Some lower calorie choices. I've got tons of videos on full days of eating, different only fast food places to show you fast, but you can eat only fast food places and still remain within your calories. Like I mentioned before, it's not the healthiest thing to do, but if you're going out with someone, you can make an exception, still choose something that is healthier than the rest of the stuff. But the flexibility of it can be an issue, and part of that is because it can easily become a habitual thing for you to do with fasting, because you start getting into it and then you just think, I can't eat breakfast, I can't eat lunch, I'm only going to eat dinner. Or maybe someone does the opposite. You eat in the morning and then don't eat the rest of the day, eat the next morning. However you do it, fasting isn't really good to do every single day. Like I remember watching Thomas DeLauer videos and him talking about fasting and the benefits and all this stuff, but when you do it every single day, you start to lose out on some of those benefits because your body adapts and it gets used to that type of stuff. Whereas if you do it once a week or maybe twice a week, that's really what he says, 2-3 times maybe a week, where you're doing like a 16-8 or 18-6. Yeah, gotta doing math on camera. You're gonna get more of those benefits instead of doing it every single day. So my suggestion is that if you are fasting, don't get caught up in the I have to do this every day type of thing. It is a calorie restriction type of deal, but say if you are on a diet, you're cutting 200 calories a day eating normal meals, and then on your fasting day, well, maybe that day you cut 600-700 because you skip a whole meal, but then you still eat the same type of stuff throughout the rest of the day. And overall, all those calories end up at the end of the week, you're losing close to a pound or whatever it is, depending on what your deficit ends up being. But just think about, is it really necessary to fast every single day? What's the purpose of this? Am I really getting the benefits that I think I'm getting? All that type of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. And the last thing is, I noticed that it is just not optimal for muscle gain. Yeah, it's helpful for when you're cutting down because you can easily restrict calories like we said before, but when it comes to building muscle, I was pretty much maintaining the same weight in the mid 160s, fasting pretty much every day, like I said, the 16-8 or even longer fasts. And I would often exercise, lifting weights while I was in the fasted time, which really isn't optimal because you're not gonna have as much energy, so you couldn't push very hard. And I didn't make much progress at all. I was pushing myself hard in the gym, tracking what I did, going to failure like I always do on most stuff. But then when I changed it up, I quit fasting altogether. I started eating 4, maybe 5 meals a day. And by meals, I don't mean like a big meal. Like, I have a breakfast and then I'll have a snack, lunch and a snack, dinner and snack, that type of thing. Like snacks like protein bars or something with some protein in it, because when you're having more protein throughout the day and a smoother influx of calories, then it makes everything more stable. You have more energy and helps with building muscle instead of, I'm eating 2 big meals over 4 hours and taking in 200 grams of protein. Your body might not be able to process that as well as if you're getting steady amounts throughout the day. Think of it like someone who's injecting testosterone. If you've heard about people on PEDs, all that type of stuff, a doctor might give you a prescription to take so many milligrams of testosterone every 2 weeks, and you have a big spike in your levels, and then they trail off. And then by the time you get your next injection, you feel crappy again. Then you get the next one, you feel great for a few days, and then it starts to trail off. Think of protein amounts the same way. You get all this influx of calories and protein at one time, then it trails off and your body has nothing to work with to build muscle. So what's going to happen? Once I started eating normally, my strength gains started shooting up like crazy. My muscles, I built like a ton of muscle in a year. I got before and afters. I'll link a video here somewhere. But overall, just be careful with what you're doing. I'm not saying fasting's terrible or bad, but eating like normal, you know, when your body tells you you're hungry, just eat, but be mindful of what you're eating. I'm not saying just be a mindful eater and eat till you're full, but be aware of what calories are in stuff, what you actually need, the vitamins, minerals, macronutrients, all that type of stuff. Hope it was helpful. Let me know what you think of fasting. I'm probably gonna get some hate for this, but I went through it. I know what it's like. I did almost 2 years straight fasting constantly every day, and it wasn't the best, not optimal for me. But if it works for you, that's good. But I think there's better ways if your goal is to build muscle, which a lot of my channel is about bodybuilding, that type of stuff. If that's not what you're into, not so much of a big deal, but Instagram at Camber Fitness, cool stuff there. I will see you in the next one.